Welcome to this episode of Digital Marketing Answered. Today we are in conversation with Helen Adcock from the Innovation Visual team, and we will be talking to you about the importance of different content forms and using different content.
Hi, I'm Helen. I'm Client Services Manager at Innovation Visual. So I'm very involved across the board with our clients, and I also lead a number of client accounts myself, and I'm really excited to be joined with you today, Vogue, to discuss this really important topic.
Yeah, so firstly, to begin the discussion, Helen, could you just explain why creating effective content is so important to the whole customer journey for both B2B and B2C?
Yeah, so content needs to be used across both B2B and B2C across the whole customer journey. You can't just prioritize, I'm just going to have a bit of an awareness content and then neglect to have, the content that will help people make a decision about why they should do business with you. So it's really important that, content is used strategically across the whole customer journey, from the awareness stage to the decision stage, even up to the post-purchase stage as well. So, thinking about what content you need once someone has actually made a purchase or has started to do business with you. So yeah, it's really important, no matter what stage you're at, that you have the right content in the right format to obviously, generate leads, generate sales, cross-sell, upsell, all those different benefits. And if you don't have the right content, you could lose out on leads, revenue, sales, retention as well. That can be a big thing. So it's just important to really, think about the content you create in at different stages, but it has a huge impact at every stage.
Yeah, I was going to say, because the impact of not having content at every stage can be quite detrimental, and yeah, it just leads to not being able to take the journey through the process as they should, and can't really engage with people without the content. So
yeah. I mean, imagine if you're an e-commerce business and you don't have a video showing the product in action. You could be missing out on potential sales because you don't have that content on the landing page or on social. So yeah, it's really, really important to think about how you're using content at different stages.
And especially with the AI changes, especially on search and things like that. I mean, we've seen, particularly with clients, as you know, just the changes that are required just to be there where the customers are and meet them where they're at, and making sure that you've got the right content to serve Google and the user, so that you're being shown across all search platforms, and get as much real estate as possible.
Yeah, and we're seeing the search landscape is definitely changing with the type of results. It's a lot more varied these days. So when you do a search, you could have, shopping results, then you could have the people also ask results, then you might have blogs or videos. Like, there's so many different types of content that you're seeing. I'm just talking about, search engines like Google, Microsoft primarily, but also thinking about, TikTok being a search engine and what content have you got there. So yeah, we're definitely seeing massive changes in terms of the type of content being served to the audience, and making sure that you have the right content to match the intent of search is essential.
And so as we're saying, there's lots of content required, but do you think you can overload your prospects or customers with too much content? And I guess quality over quantity in every case.
Yeah, so I think no, I definitely agree with you there, Vogue. So with AI, we're seeing so much content out there. It's so easy just to click a button these days and create just a wealth of content. But is that really good quality content? It's far more important to prioritize having good quality original content that is actually going to help your audience than just creating content for the sake of it.
And we're all humans at the end of the day. We're speaking to humans, so we need to make sure that they can consume it in a way that you want them to consume it. It's not just, okay, let's just get loads of content out and we're going to get money for it. There has to be a purpose to it, because you're helping people. And as you say with AI, like, there's no point rolling out just tons and tons of blogs and random videos generated that are just crap and just, all this stuff, when actually it doesn't serve the purpose, as you say, it doesn't speak to the intent of the searcher. It's wasted. So actually, I would always say quality over quantity. However, if you can get the quality and the quantity, then you're winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially now as well, with like the way people are, the behaviours have changed, and people are time poor. We prioritise convenience. There's no point having a wealth of content that people don't read or don't have the time
Exactly.
to read. So it's also thinking about how, the content we create suits people's behaviours and habits these days as well. So is a video better suited than like a long form guide or blog?
And how would you suggest a company plans that? So let's start with B2C. How would you plan that as a B2C company? How would you know what content to produce? Because essentially people could be like, hey, cool, loads of blogs, loads of videos, loads of TikTok posts. But really, how do you know what would be right for your user?
Yeah, so it's doing user research as one, understanding your audience and where they are. So are they searching on Google, or like we said, are they searching on social media? So definitely doing the audience research first, and then also competitor research. So for example, if you are choosing to prioritize like search engines, for example, Google, having a look at, for your audience, what sort of content is coming up. So is it more videos, or is it blogs, or is it product pages for the type of searches that people are making? So it's really doing the research, creating the strategy, choosing what content format is best, and then going from there.
And A/B testing is also one that you could definitely go for and see how people are interacting with different types of content. Also analysing clicks on pages using a tool like Hotjar, and just making sure that, the content you're putting out there is serving a purpose rather than just, So I'm thinking videos. How long are people watching the videos for? Are they dropping off at certain points? And feedback, like do people want to see different types of content? If you're more of a, going back to the e-commerce thing, if you're selling lots of products, could you do product videos? How are people engaging with them? Could you then clip them into like shorter YouTube videos? Could you then post a blog about specific bestsellers or whatever? It's how to like align that. And I guess, as you say, a good strategy and research is the key to planning that out.
Yeah. And having a look at the data you've already got out there to see what you can learn. So hopefully you will have been doing content already, and you might have some sort of strategy in place already. But going back to the data, seeing what's worked in the past and what hasn't is always a good place to start as well.
And also looking at your competitors. What are your competitors doing? Are you where your competitors are at? And if you're not, then should you be factoring in some content to be there, and make sure that your name is showing where your competitors are showing? So talking about strategy and things and planning things out, research, all of that fun stuff, can you share some key challenges that marketers actually have to face when creating the content and knowing which type of formats to use?
Yeah, so there's a few challenges. I mean, we know that marketing managers, like face so many different challenges these days, not just from a content perspective, but just delivering results perspective across the board. But I think specifically for content, it's, time, resource, budget. We're constantly being asked to do more with less, and budgets are being shrunk. Then originality, it's how can we, produce that quality content that we've already discussed, and thinking about that's a big challenge, because like we said before, it's not just about creating content for the sake of it. It's where is the quality, and how are you going to achieve that? And then I suppose it's dealing with the landscape as well. So dealing with the constant changes, whether that be from a search landscape point of view, how buyers now consume content as well. That is a challenge that we have to deal with. I know we've seen for some of our clients what we've done before now doesn't work now, because the intent has changed behind the search. So we need to keep up with that, and making sure that we're always like one step ahead. So yeah, there's quite a few challenges when it comes to creating content that we need to think about and also need to overcome as marketing managers and leaders.
Yeah, I know with our clients, we've had that like campaign approach, multi-channel approach, and that's worked excellently. And so bringing in email, then bringing in the blog, then bringing in the paid, then bringing in the the landing pages and tracking elements and videos, a massive thing. You bring it all together, you have a nicely mapped out campaign, and it just speaks to your target audience so nicely, so well, and it brings it all together. Also remarketing, so that anyone that is kind of missed, dropped through the net, you can catch them and make sure that they're all aware and they're all making use of either if you're running a sale or if you've got a special product launch or something like that. It's so valuable to have those different aspects of content across different channels, so that you are engaging with people and keeping them engaged. And then not only from the first touch, but also, as I say, little points of emails or more videos that they see. It's like just continuing that relationship and nurturing customers, even after a campaign, to make sure they become lifelong, and build their lifetime customer value, build their orders, make sure they're creating accounts, make sure they become really loyal. And then that's how you kind of build the structure of your content, because then you start to feed at different stages of the buyer's journey what they want to be seeing. So what you give someone who's just seen your brand, what you show someone who's like completely new to what you're offering, to compared to something that you're showing someone who's shouting about your brand, with two different types of content, but both just as valuable. So that's what you've got to be factoring in. I think that buyer's journey stage, especially with the challenges as you were talking about, that's super useful and super important.
And focusing on what's important to the business. If as marketing leaders, if you are time poor or resource constrained, it's thinking about what are the priorities right now. So is it more sales, or is it brand awareness, or is it retention? So you can really think about, okay, what content do I need to create right now, and what is going to support the overall business goals, because if we can't do everything, we need to focus our efforts in the right areas as well.
Yeah, and of course something like brand awareness, if that was like a whole campaign in itself, that's going to require a lot of budget, but it's not not necessarily going to give you the return that you're maybe looking for if you're trying to make like grow your revenue, for example. So different stages of business growth, as well, as you say, you will need to focus on different things, because if you're looking to make money, you're not going to be spending thousands on a brand awareness piece. But then equally, that brand awareness piece would nicely feed into something that's going to convert people and drive the revenue. So it's just about prioritizing.
Definitely.
Cool. So and within this, what are some typical content formats that you have seen work well for your clients? And it will be different for B2C, B2B. We've spoken a bit about B2C. So say for B2B, what would be important, and what would you recommend they focus on?
Yeah, I wouldn't say the content necessarily changes hugely. It's just more the audience and who you're talking to. So choosing the right format for your audience. So I think in B2B, like landing pages, guides, infographics, webinars, events, things like podcasts work quite well as well. There's so many different types of content formats and channels these days. You can go a bit wild with it, and it is the same for e-commerce in terms of blogs, images, videos, like product reels, product descriptions. There's so much content out there. So it's just choosing what is best for the audience and the goal in terms of what content you do choose.
So you mentioned B2B and B2C. It is basically the same content, but it's just different. The way you present it is different, and what you prioritize, I guess, is different. That's fair enough. And And also something like TikTok. I know a lot of B2B companies will be like, no, that's not for us. But I think I've been on training, like webinars and things, and they've always said, like, don't ever put a channel in a box and be like, wait, that's not applicable to us, because especially with the changes in search, as you say, people are maybe receptible to it, and you should try things, and marketing is all about trying new things. So don't ever look at a channel and be like, no, that's not for us. Try different things always, and try mixing things up, and seeing how things complement each other is always good. Testing.
Yeah. And as your audience ages as well, you are going to find that more people are, going over to TikTok as a primary channel. Like a couple of years ago, I definitely didn't think I would be on TikTok. And I now hold my hands up and say I do have it on my, on my phone, and I do use it. So the audience, is aging, and who you were targeting previously are going to be potentially on those channels as well. So don't disregard them completely.
Yeah. And it's also about, like we mentioned before, using the data as well. So if you can test, then you've got the data, and then you might find, gosh, this actually is working amazingly. We should do this more. So it's always about, testing things, using that data, see what's working. How can you test further, experiment more, and see how it helps in the different parts of the journey. So content audits, we know these are super useful, can be a long task, but definitely valuable. How can they help with planning different types of content formats, and how would you even go about starting to create a content audit?
Content audits, like you say, are super value. First and foremost, it can help you identify what content you've already got that exists. So you might not even realize that you've got, a piece of content in that certain topic area, or it might be that you've got offline content that you haven't even considered, that could actually be repurposed into like a form of online content. So I think first and foremost, it can help you identify the content you have got in your space, and then from there you can use it to analyze, what categories do they fall in. Have you got a lot of content that are blogs, but not so much case studies, for example? So you can really see what the split of content you've got is, and what categories they fall into. You can also see if you've got a lot of content in the awareness stage, but not so much the decision stage. So that's another way to categorize things. So you can really start to understand what content you have already, and what exists. And then from there, you can use it to make decisions on, okay, this content needs to be improved, or maybe this format isn't the right format for the audience anymore. So let's make these changes. Or we can really see that the content is working as well. So you can also plug in your data around your content and say, okay, if it's working, why don't we, repurpose that piece of content into 10 different formats as well? Because if it's already working, let's capitalize on that as well. So it's really identifying, what you've got out there, what's performing, what isn't, and then what changes can you make to the content that you've already got in your assets.
So you mentioned having all the content in front of you, and being able to analyze it and making it super useful to actually have a clear vision of what you've got going on, what you kind of want to remove, what you want to work on, where the gaps are. Repurposing content is super powerful, and especially with the AI stuff we were talking about and video, we want to be making the most out of all the channels. So rather than just making one blog, we could make a video out of the blog, or vice versa. So tell me more about repurposing, how people could choose what to repurpose, and the value of it.
So repurposing content is all around taking content that you've already got, so existing content, and then maybe it's in one format and you want to repurpose it into a new format. So you're taking one piece of content and in effect creating another piece of content, or even 3 or 4 pieces of content out of it. So, using one piece of hero content and having multiple pieces instead. So it might be that like I said, something's already working, so you want to amplify that further. So it might be taking a blog and producing a video, or doing it the opposite way around. So you've got a good, well-performing video and creating that into a landing page or a blog. Or you might want to turn a blog into an infographic, or you might have a long form guide and you want to turn that into 4 different infographics, so breaking that up a little bit more so it's more consumable. So there's so many different ways that you can actually break down the content you've got and use what you've already got out there. You don't always have to reinvent the wheel with content and think, oh, what should I create now? Like, what's new? Like, look at what you've already got and then create new formats out of it, pretty much. And it also might be if content's not working, it's not in the right format. So you can look at what is working, but if it's not working, is the format right? Have I chosen the right format? So do you need to consider, changing the blog into a video because maybe the blog format wasn't appropriate for the intent of that piece? So yeah, there's so many different ways that you can use content repurposing, and it's something that we help clients with as well.
And on the flip side of that, I was going to say you could look at what is performing and what people are interested in finding more about, and you might have touched on a really hot topic and you're thinking, okay, this is doing great, we should try push this across other channels. So yeah, with content that's not performing, you could flip it, and but with content that is performing, you could just expand it, and also, so the main piece you might have on your site, you could really make that piece content rich, and then have all different types of content within that blog, say, or landing page that it links out to. So you might have a video, then you could have the blog, and then you could have a social post that you've done, like embedded or whatever it is, and an infographic, and then that just helps SEO.
Yeah.
So that was a really useful conversation. But to round the conversation up, what would you say are your 3 top tips that you'd give to a marketing expert watching the video?
In terms of my top 3 like takeaways from this episode, and what you can learn is quality over quantity. So always prioritize, having better quality than just volume of content being produced. Then I would say probably making sure that the content format aligns with the purpose and the goal and the audience. So making sure that you plan and strategize your content and really think about, okay, is this content best suited towards this format or that format to achieve the best outcome? And then I would say just making sure that you really understand your audience and what they want as well. If your audience is happy, then that will lead to better results. So just choosing the right content for your audience as well, and really thinking about them in the process. Don't just create content for you, create it for your audience.
And a bonus tip I would say is testing is so important with content, because you never know how people are going to receive things. And I've seen this happen so many times in the past where companies have tested like a really out there video and a pretty standard video for their industry, say, and the out there video has done so much better, and it's like if they hadn't tested that. So test is a big thing, and just engage with your audience, because we're all humans at the end of the day. So it's humans engaging with content, and people like to see different things. So amazing. So that was the conversation, and that was really useful. I hope you guys watching found it useful. If you've got any comments to add, then please leave them down below in the comment section. And like this video, please subscribe to our channels, because we often do these digital marketing answers with loads of topics covered and top tips. Thank you so much, Helen.
Thank you, guys.
And yeah, see you guys next time in the next video.